Ants teach us about collective action.
Thank you. So this summer I found myself wandering through the middle of a remote desert in southern Arizona. And for hours I was watching a mound of very small pebbles that were all rounded together with a little hole in the center. And it sort of resembled the landing site of a miniature UFO. So what I actually was doing was research on a special kind of desert ant with a lab at Stanford. And I found this a really eye-opening opportunity because a lot of people see ants as just sort of these pests that crawl around your kitchen and get in your food. But I see them as a lens through which to examine social behavior and collective action in both insects and people. So ants are actually a lot more like people than you would think. For one, some ants have been using antibiotics long before people discovered penicillin. Ants do sophisticated agriculture, farming fungus and aphids in very complex ways. And they're diverse societies that build architecture that's very complex. Like, for instance, the ants I was looking at in Arizona build their nest out of adobe, which is a material that people for like a long time have been using to build homes in the southwestern United States. So ants are really cool, and to give you some basics on how ant society functions, so there's a bunch of sterile female workers who go out and they gather food, and they do various tasks to maintain the colony, and there's a queen ant. So you might think that the queen ant's like the boss ant or like the monarch, but that's actually not the case. Her entire job is to just lay the eggs, so she does not tell the other ants what to do. So then how do the ants know where they should go or when they should be in and out of the nest? So it's sort of like a computer network or a social media network in that these ants are interacting at a local scale. So for instance, two ants might touch antennae and smell each other, and based on that the ant might decide to enter the nest or stay in the nest or leave the nest. So these local decisions are basically what's the driving force in decision making in the ant colony as a whole, because all these local interactions between ants sum up to create a complex network of diverse ants that makes decisions that benefit the whole colony, which is a really unique decentralized social system. So there's two major things that I've learned from studying ants and what it might mean to our society. One is that before studying ants, I always assumed that to have a complex society of many different individuals, that there'd have to be some kind of highly specialized division of labor, where the components within the society had specific roles or jobs that they rigidly had to do. But with ants, although they have different jobs, like some might be the maintenance ant, some might go get food, some might be the guards, these jobs are rather fluid. So, for instance, over the entire life of a worker ant, her job will change, and it will also change to meet the needs of the colony. For instance, in Arizona, if the little pebbles around the nest get destroyed, more ants will become custodian ants to help clean it up, and this is all decided through local interactions. There's like no government of ants telling them that they need to fix the nest, which is pretty cool. The other big thing I learned from ants is that there doesn't necessarily have to be central control to have a thriving society, which was another thing I always assumed that top-down forces like changes in policy or government were like the main way to promote change within a society. And even with like other social mammals like wolves or gorillas, there was always like an alpha animal that was sort of controlling the pack. But since ants have no leader, what's truly remarkable about them is that through decentralized interactions, they can foster group action. And that's made me rethink what it means in my own life to be a leader. For instance, I'm a Robley Sustainability Leader this year on 3B. And it's been a really great experience, but like applying my ant research to my life, I've realized that being a leader isn't like controlling from the top down or being authoritative by like trying to impose things on people. But to me, being a leader is about fostering the collective spirit within a group of people and encouraging collective action on sustainability and taking care of the environment through local decentralized interactions rather than just bossing people around, because that's not really that fun. So I've learned a lot from ant networks on how to be a better leader, and researching them has been a really great experience. Thank you.